coverage at the Fox, but you can bet you'll be called back for an encore. Call 579-1000 or 923-2300.
Hey, Detroit, watch The Late Show right here on TV2.
The following GGP sports presentation is a preview of the 17th Winter Games.
Winter has once again made its way to Lillehammer. But this is the winter the town has been anxiously waiting for. Soon, the world will focus on this Norwegian community as the 17th Winter Olympics take center stage. As for the athletes, well, they're coming in record numbers. More than 2,000 will compete for their chance at the game's ultimate prize, an Olympic gold medal. Among those within reach of gold are American freestylists Trace Worthington and Chris Feddersen. Both of the leaders of the talented U.S. team plan to come away with medals in the Winter Olympics' newest sport. Chris and Peter Ferraro, USA Hockey's set of twin forwards. After 3 straight Olympics without a medal for the U.S., the Ferraros are determined to make these Olympics a miracle of their own. American Wendell Suko, the surprise of last year's World Championships in luge. He's out to prove that his first place showing was no fluke and that he can become an Olympic champion. And finally, the Queen and King of Ice Dance, Great Britain's Jane Torval and Christopher Dean. The 1984 Olympic gold medalists have returned to try and repeat their brilliant performance of 10 years ago. The Winter Olympics are just ahead. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lillehammer 94. I'm your host, Tim Ryan, and over the next 30 minutes, we're going to give you a tour of this beautiful Norwegian region and introduce you to some of the athletes who will be competing here starting February 12th. You know, the Lillehammer Olympic Organizing Committee has done a wonderful job preparing for these games. All of the venues were either completed on time or ahead of schedule. And of course, that gave them ample time to stage test events at each site. As with any new facility, there were some minor adjustments to be made. But when it came to the women's downhill course at Hafjell, just up the road here from Lillehammer, there was some harsh criticism from many of the top skiers competing there, including the defending Olympic gold medalist, Karen Lee Gartner of Canada. Downhill racing, an event known for its breathtaking speed and imminent danger. But this women's downhill course in Hafjell, Norway, didn't provide any such challenges. This was to be the site of the women's downhill during the '94 Winter Games. But 13 of the world's top 15 downhillers sat in the stands rather than take their final practice run, hoping the boycott would bring about a change.
It's the most boring downhill course I have ever done. It's not worth for a World Cup and not at all for Olympic Games. It's ridiculous down there.
Leading the protest, defending Olympic champion Karen Lee Gartner.
We'd like the alternative, and we'd like to really show what the women's circuit can do and what we can do and promote the sport in the way that we should.
The organizing committee agreed, and the women's downhill will be set up at the same venue as the men in Kvitfjell.
Actually, I was very pleased with the change from the old course to the men's course, and I was anticipating that when we were over there last year, and I stayed and watched the men train on the course, and I was up on the hill for their first training run and watched the way they skied it, and so that way I have a very good picture in my mind of how the hill can be skied.
Karen will be a favorite in the Olympic downhill in '94 after her gold medal triumph in '92 at Albertville, France. No one has ever repeated as Olympic champion in the downhill, and you don't have to remind Karen of that. Karen Lee Gartner into first place.
It's been told to me so many times that never in history has a downhiller repeated, and I think Tomba's the only skier actually to repeat in anything, and if I ever repeat, I'd be in pretty good company to be with Tomba. So I have the pressure that I would like to repeat, but I think if I'm lucky enough to bring any color of medal home, I'll be completely satisfied.
In the meantime, Karen and her husband Max opened some of the hundreds of cards and letters she has received since her victory in Albertville. The mail allows her to enjoy her success, but also to work hard for even more.
It's hard for me to ignore the long-term goal, meaning the downhill title, too. I was third last season, and I really feel that going into this year I'm stronger. I know myself that much better, and I feel like I can deal with the pressures, and hopefully it'll be there.
When we return with Lillehammer 94, we'll meet two of the world's best freestyle skiers, Americans Trace Worthington and Chris Pedersen. And later, the return of the Queen and King of ice dancing, Jane Torvill and Christopher Dean.
Lillehammer 94 is being brought to you in part by York International, a world leader in heating, air conditioning, and industrial refrigeration technology. And by Charles Schwab and Company, helping investors help themselves, offering investors no-fee accounts and other innovative services.
At Lillehammer, the traditional animal mascot has been replaced by two children, Kristen and Håkan. In 1206, two Birkebeiners carried the infant Prince Håkan over the mountains from Lillehammer to the secure region of Trondheim in order to keep him out of the hands of the hostile Boglers. Håkan's Aunt Kristen later married the Boglers' king, which led to an amicable settlement. Today, a search is spread over the entire country for 8 pairs of Håkans and Kristens. For the first time in Olympic history, the official mascots will be human. And that meant screening more than 10,000 11-year-olds to find the perfect Håkan and Kristen. Each region in Norway will have its own set of mascots. For the 8th straight year, the U.S. freestyle ski team has won the Nations Cup, which goes to the country compiling the most individual points on the World Cup circuit. And two of the reasons why the U.S. has dominated are the performances of Trace Worthington and Chris Pedersen.
My main competitors for the Olympics, I don't exclude anybody.
On our team, we've got 6 guys that should go to the Olympics, but we only get to take 3 guys.
You never think of writing off other people's mistakes and why they haven't been training or happen. You're always writing on what you can do to make my jump, what I can do to make my jumping better.
And the thing about me and Trace, we have a good working relationship, a friendship, and also we respect each other, and we've helped each other out. We've actually, we help coach each other a lot.
They have plenty to teach each other. Pedersen has been a member of the U.S. freestyle team for the last 10 years, Worthington the past 5. When the former roommates do sit down to talk shop, you had better bring along an interpreter, even for simple questions like, what are you working on?
2 different variations of a quadruple twisting triple backflip.
Right now, I'm trying to perfect a quad twisting triple somersault.
So that's a quadruple twisting triple. We call it a full, double full, full. And then I'm working on another variation called a double full, full, full.
How's that?
A double full, full, full. I mean, it's totally tongue twisting, but it's a 2 twists on the first flip when I leave the jump, then one full twist on the second flip, 1 full twist on the third flip, and with the same height.
Wait a minute. If we put these 2 guys together, we might have something here.
We call it a full, double full, full.
Quad twisting,
triple twisting,
triple somersault.
Going off a kicker that's about 12 feet tall.
On water ramp.
With a triple twisting triple, make that look really clean and pretty.
Now that would be some kind of jump. But there'll come a time this February in Lillehammer when Trace Worthington and Chris Pedersen find themselves in midair, upside down, spinning and twisting toward the ground, and words and descriptions won't mean much at all. All that will matter is who lands on their feet and walks to the medal stand.
If I jump up to my ability and not really worry about where I'm going to end up, I'll end up, somewhere in the medal chase.
If I get to do these perfect and put them down on snow the way I want to and the way I expect to, then it shouldn't be a problem at all to be up on that podium with a gold medal.
This will be the first time that aerials are a full medal sport at the Winter Olympic Games. At Albertville, they were just a demonstration sport. And with his dual talents, Trace Worthington could become freestyle's first double medalist. Well, coming up on Lillehammer 94, we'll look at the USA's hockey team, plus the surprise of last year's World Championship in luge. And on our figure skating segment, the return of the 1984 ice dancing champions, Jane Torvill and Christopher Dean. Stay tuned. And with his dual talents, Trace Worthington could become freestyle's first double medalist. Well, coming up on Lillehammer 94, we'll look at the USA's hockey team, plus the surprise of last year's World Championship in luge. And on our figure skating segment, the return of the 1984 ice dancing champions, Jane Torval and Christopher Dean. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Lillehammer 94. I'm Tim Ryan. You know, with each Winter Olympics, the U.S. hockey team faces the inevitable comparison with the 1980 Miracle on Ice squad at Lake Placid. In 1992, the U.S. team got off to a strong start at Albertville in front of goaltender Ray LeBlanc. However, they faded and finished fourth. The 1994 team is built on youth and speed, and two players who hope to add to the scoring punch have the same last name, Chris and Peter Ferraro. They are USA Hockey's first set of twins. Veteran teammates in all sports are known to have a certain chemistry. Can you imagine what it's like for twins?
We're real familiar with each other out there, and I mean, occasionally we find ourselves just throwing the puck, and one of us will be there. It's funny, but it works out well sometimes.
It's always easier with my brother because we've been together for so long, and we're just used to being together.
Chris and Peter have been together on the ice since they took up hockey at age 6. Last year as freshmen, they helped the University of Maine win the NCAA championship. Now they're going to the Olympics and next the NHL, where you guessed it, both were drafted by the New York Rangers. While they may confuse opponents with their looks, they'll be the first to tell you their personalities are quite different.
He's more prone to joke around a little and have a little more fun, and that's just his nature.
I think he's more serious in life in general. He's just very focused on what he's got to do and on his future and all that. And you know, I try and loosen him up a little.
Well, growing up in Long Island, New York, the twins played a variety of sports, but hockey soon became their favorite. Off the ice, Chris and Peter always enjoyed an afternoon in their family's sporting goods store to sort of test out the equipment.
We didn't know any better. We just walked in and we thought everything was there for us. So we just walk in and take a hockey stick or a pair of skates whenever basically we felt like it. And when we got it at home and my dad was there, he'd get on our case a little.
Going in the store would be great because, you know, we'd set up like a soccer net and play soccer in there and, you know, ruin the balls, and then, you know, set up a hockey net and play deck hockey in the store there because they have deck hockey flooring in the store, and, you know, wreck a few things there, and, you know, but they didn't mind. I mean, unless, you know, we hit a customer or something like that.
Nowadays, nobody minds if they hit someone. It's all part of the job. While the Ferraro brothers hope to lead a surprise attack for the USA in hockey, another American has already shocked the Europeans in luge. At last year's World Championships, Wendell Suko of Marquette, Michigan, slid off with the USA's first ever medal in that sport. Along the way, he defeated the 1992 Olympic champion, Georg Hackl, by 1/10 of a second.
This Lillehammer 94 Quest for Gold is brought to you by Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab, helping investors help themselves.
Wendell Suko can't get used to being a celebrity, but wherever he goes in his hometown of Marquette, Michigan, he is hailed by young and old alike.
I don't really think of myself as a local hero or celebrity. It's just my hometown. Everyone's always, you know, you see them on the street and they know who you are. I mean, you have no clue who they are, but they're always like, they know exactly who you are.
Wendell Suko is famous now, not just in Marquette, but worldwide, after his incredible performance at the Luge World Championships in Calgary. Ranked 15th in the world, Wendell was in second place after the first run, behind two-time world champion and Olympic gold medalist Georg Hackl. Suko's second run was even better than his first, and when the final results were posted, Wendell had won the gold, just 6/100ths of a second faster than the world's best luger, Georg Hackl.
Wendell is a world champion!
Georg Hackl has been like the #1 guy forever. So, you know, when you beat him in a competition, it feels great, especially one of that level. The thing I'm really happy about is that it was a very, very close race, and it was a very tight race. You know, it wasn't. I mean, I had to come from behind but yet I had 2 great runs. It didn't sink in until that night when I was laying in bed and I just staring at the ceiling. That's when it really sank in. You know, it took that long.
Wendell was introduced to the sport of luge as a Boy Scout. He credits the teamwork and self-discipline of scouting for his success. Since that first trip down the hill as a Boy Scout, he knew this was a sport he could devote his life to.
Every time I get on a sled, whether it's a race, it's the most important race of my life, or if I'm goofing around, or if I'm on a blue toboggan sled behind my house, it's the best thing in the world for me.
Another gold medal in the Winter Olympic Games in Lillehammer might be the only way to top the thrill of his World Championship. But Suko says the expectation is there, the pressure is not.
I know that my competition is very tight and very stiff. We're in a sport where it's thousandth of a second. You know, anything can happen. It's 4 runs, and I'm going to do my best. And, you know, if I give 100%, I'm going to be happy.
If Wendell can repeat his World Championship performance here in Lillehammer, at least he won't have to worry about convincing his friends back home in Marquette, Michigan. This time, they can watch it on television. When Lillehammer 94 continues, we'll turn our focus to figure skating and meet the world's greatest pair of ice dancers, Jane Torvill and Christopher Dean.
Join GGP for the Lillehammer Olympics in Norway. Packages include hotel accommodations, all ground transportation in Norway, daily tickets to the Winter Games, plus much more. Special airfare is also available. For information on this limited offer, call 415-924-7500 and ask for Lillehammer Olympic Travel.
Jane Torvill was a secretary and Christopher Dean a policeman when they were paired together for the first time in 1975. And since that time, no other ice dancing team has equaled their accomplishments. 4 world championships, 3 European titles, and Olympic gold at Sarajevo. And since 1984, they have skated professionally, until recently when they were reinstated as amateurs to compete in the Lillehammer Games. The question on the minds of the skating world is simply, why? Do you really remember this pair? We wouldn't blame you if you didn't. After all, it has been 10 years since their last Olympic performance. To put that in perspective, that was the same year Michael Jordan won his first Olympic gold medal. But this isn't Michael Jordan we're talking about. This is the figure skating team Torvill and Dean, gold medalists in the 1984 Games of Sarajevo. Unlike Jordan, Torvill and Dean can walk the streets of just about any country in anonymity. Even those of you who remember Torvill and Dean may not recall which is which. So make a mental note. She's Jane Torvill, and he's Christopher Dean. Get used to them, because after 10 years, they're back. Or should we say, they're still here.
No, everybody said, oh, you're coming back. Yeah. And we were like, well, we haven't really been anywhere.
We've been sitting around for 10 years.
It's just the arena that we're coming back to.
Yeah.
It is an arena in which they set the standard. Ice dancing didn't become an Olympic sport until 1976. In 1984, this pair gave it credibility, skating to Ravel's Bolero. They earned 12 perfect scores out of a possible 18, and the question of the future was not who will win in ice dancing, rather, who will be the next Torvill and Dean. 10 years later, it may turn out that the next Torvill and Dean are Torvill and Dean.
We left the sport on a very big high. Ravel's Bolero, Olympics, a lot of high scores. And to go back, obviously, people will be looking where we were then and where we are now.
When he first mentioned it, I thought he was sort of joking or just, you know, probably saying it to see what reaction he would get. And I was surprised, of course, and it was something I hadn't thought about seriously, even though I was sort of aware that professionals were being allowed to go back and compete.
The same question asked of Jordan since he left the arena can be asked of Torvill and Dean as they return. Why? What does this dance team have left to prove in their sport?
We haven't left the sport. We've been very active in what we've been doing with developing ourselves choreographically, putting on shows, working with other people, still being very influential, we think, within the skating world.
I think if we didn't take this chance, we'd probably regret it for the rest of our lives. We'd always be thinking, you know, what if we'd have done that? We should have done that. So I think that was a constant factor in our minds when we were trying to make the decision that if we don't take this chance, we never have it again.
No other skaters at the Lillehammer Olympics can say they are already members of the World Figure Skating Hall of Fame. In fact, Torvill and Dean are so popular in their own country that Queen Elizabeth has made them both members of the Order of the British Empire. And we'll be back with more of Lillehammer 94 after these messages.
GGP's Lillehammer 94 will continue after these words from your local station.
Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Lillehammer 94. Join us again next time when we'll have figure skaters Kurt Browning of Canada and Suryo Bonali of France. Check your local listings for the date and time in your area. Until then, I'm Tim Ryan saying so long from Lillehammer.
The easy way to Lillehammer in 94 is on Delta's daily flight from JFK nonstop to Oslo. Delta Airlines, the only U.S. airline serving Norway. Lillehammer 94 has been brought to you by Charles Schwab and Company, helping investors help themselves. This has been a presentation of GGP Sports.